What's up, guys? Got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the noose tightening in regards to censorship and kind of the 1,000-foot view of what I'm seeing happening and how it's all coming together. And this all starts about 3 months ago when the House Judiciary Committee had a hearing on what they called leak probes and prosecutorial abuse. What it was a hearing about secrecy orders. And I did a 10-minute video talking about the hearing itself, and I said that I was going to do a live stream and go through the hearing, but it was almost 4 hours of content, and I tried to break it down several times, and it just wasn't condensing the way I wanted to, and I never did it. But I did talk about in detail in this 10-minute segment about the secrecy hearings, what it was essentially over. And what it was over was that the government has taken the position that all data that people have stored in the cloud or on servers on the internet is essentially free game. They don't have to notify anybody that they're digging through their data. They can write warrants to Google and Facebook and request the data, and there's nothing that the people can do about it. They don't even know about it, and it's because of the third-party doctrine that they essentially consider data that we have stored on the cloud trash that you've put outside on the side of the road. And the feds can go through your trash without having to give you a warrant or even notify you because there's no expectation of privacy when you throw things in the trash. Well, they're essentially equating the secure servers that people store their sensitive material on in the cloud, right? They're considering that just having put it out on the side of the street as trash. It's unbelievable, and it's of course bullshit, and they're abusing the hell out of it. Now, in the hearing, many of the people were saying, well, this hearing is to protect reporters and news figures, but how do we determine who is a news figure in a climate where people like myself are doing more investigative journalism than, say, CNN? And also, doesn't this just apply to people, to citizens? Isn't this violating the Fourth Amendment rights of just regular old citizens? Because what they were advocating for was that we need to make more stringent rules to where reporters are not subject to this. And that's what they did, but they didn't do it for everyone. So we are still having our data pulled from the cloud by the feds with no notification. You don't get to defend yourself because they're doing it without informing the individual. And it's because these requests for data include a secrecy order with it. So now the American public has essentially been informed that they are stealing all of our data. Well, after this, there have been some disclosures that I find concerning or troubling or notable, and they tie into this because the feds have basically now been giving carte blanche to pull any data that they want off of the internet or off of company servers, as long as it's not in what you would call hard storage or cold storage at your home, on your computer, and nowhere else on the internet. They still have to provide a warrant to take that information. But in the changing atmosphere, in the changing dynamic that we're seeing, the Internet of Things is coming, Skynet is coming, and essentially everything that we do and save will be in the cloud. If you notice, Google Photos and Apple Photos and all of these programs that are on our physical devices are constantly trying to entice you to put your stuff on the cloud. iPhone has that annoying warning. If you refuse to buy more storage on iCloud, then you fill up 5 gigabytes insanely fast, and then you have that little red one that's there all the time to drive you nuts, so you'll just buy the 99 cents of 50 gigabytes of information so that your photos will automatically upload to Google Cloud. You think that they're doing that for the 99 cents? I can guarantee you they're not. If you even look at Mega, the website, uploads everything there to the servers. Google Photos, you have to go in and turn Google Photos off. If you accidentally download Google Photos, it automatically starts uploading your photos, all the photos on your device, to the Google servers without even asking. You go and look at your personal information on Google and really start digging into the settings, and I guarantee you've shared stuff with Google services that you're not even aware of. Okay, so they're pushing all of us to store our stuff in the cloud. They've now been giving carte blanche to request that information anytime they want, and these corporations are giving into these requests, and they attach secrecy orders so that we as citizens are not even allowed to know that we're being investigated. And then comes the announcement about Apple. Apple will scan photos stored on iPhones iPhones and iCloud for child abuse imagery. The feature will roll out in the US first. This was in August. Now, as with all things, and this is so annoying because they really do this to you on purpose, but as I call it the Alex Jones effect because, they always started, back in the 2000s, they started all their censorship and all their social manipulations by messing with Alex Jones first. Because everybody's like, oh, well, it's Alex Jones, it's not me. Meh. It's the Alex Jones effect, right? So they roll this out for CP. And of course, everyone out there is like, well, yeah, CP is horrible, it's evil, it's demonic and disgusting, and so why wouldn't we? Except that's not, once you give these people the ability to do this, you think that they're only going to be searching for CP? You're insane. And just like the no-fly list and all the other creations of these databases by the government, there are going to be huge mistakes that are going to be made in this. And I actually, what? As an example, I'll show you a mistake that the Facebook algorithm is making now. Because what they're saying is we're only going to search for known images, right? So they're known images. They know that it's CP. They were involved in a court case or something to that effect. And so they know that it's a CP photo. And we're only going to be searching for those. There will be no mistakes made. And if you believe that, you're already lost. But it's even worse than that. Because see, look at how this innocent little Facebook example, hold on. So after Facebook was shut down and it came back up, I've noticed a couple of changes. One thing is that underneath some people's posts, they'll put a little thing where you can click to go to the community standards. And it's not that the person posted anything that violates the community standards. It's just something in the algorithm that makes them put that little tag on people's photos. And then the other thing I've noticed is that they're putting this sensitive content thing over lots more images, right? And the algorithms make a mistake. Look, this photo's been tagged as something that is violent or graphic, and they say it doesn't go against community standards, but it may show graphic content, right? And then when you ask to see it, it says stand up for what you believe in, even if it means standing alone with a little daisy growing out of a crack. Now that is sensitive content that shows violence or graphic content, right? No, it's a mistake made by the algorithm. Not a big deal when it's just covering a photo of a daisy, but a little bit bigger of a deal when it instigates a federal investigation and gets people, because you see, once you're flagged by this new Apple rule, the feds can request all of your information. And then what if in your photos you have those highly radicalizing memes that say things like by hook or by crook, by ballot or by bullet, all of those things that they now say in the Jan 6 documents were radicalized images, right? What if you have those on there? Well, they're not flagged by Apple because it's only these CP pictures that are flagged by Apple, right? But then once you have one that's flagged by Apple, we'll say by a mistake, like it's the daisy and the concrete here, then they get all of your images and there's a secrecy order attached to it, so you don't know. And then they go through all your photos and they find this quote unquote extremist content. How easy is that for them to then swap off and start investigating you for that? Very easy. And there are going to be tons of mistakes made because of this. So this is a tightening of the noose that I saw, right? And it's Apple. It's very disturbing that, Apple is always like, oh, we're going to stop cross-app tracking and we're looking out for you guys and da-da. Oh, and in the meantime, we're going to be searching all of your photos, not just in the cloud, the photos on your device as well. Okay. And it's another one of those things where it's like, oh, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Okay. All right, next thing. Then we get a notification in October. The government secretly orders Google to track anyone searching certain names, addresses, and phone numbers. Oh, all right. And of course, at first you're like, oh, well, who are they searching? Oh, they're searching the victims of domestic violence. So, okay, well, everybody's against domestic violence, just like everybody's against CP. But again, this is the Alex Jones effect. So anybody who searches these keywords and it's around domestic violence, and we all hate domestic violence, is now being dragnetted by the feds and investigated strictly off of this information. And again, a secrecy order is attached to it, so the individual does not even know that they're under surveillance. And my question is are we all trusting the FBI here? Are we still trusting the FBI, the Russiagate FBI? I mean, screw the Russiagate FBI, the Waco FBI. The FBI that wrote those letters to Martin Luther King. Like, this is nothing new. The FBI is garbage. It always has been. And yet we're just, and remember, acquiescence is tantamount to acceptance. And so nobody's doing or saying anything about this. And so the noose just gets tighter. Now, they're just saying right now it's certain names and addresses and phone numbers of certain victims. Okay, all right, but if you believe that that's where it's going to stop, you're literally insane. You're looking at every proof in the world to the contrary, and then just believing on faith that this is not going to go bad. It is absolutely going to go bad. Again, the noose is tightening. And then you start thinking, well, okay, certain names, addresses, and phone numbers. I wonder if anybody who was searching the names, addresses, and phone numbers of the people who were arrested at Jan 6 are being investigated. Or if certain people who were searching the names, addresses, and phone numbers of people who attended Jan 6 are being investigated. Certainly, they wouldn't make this political, right? Merrick Garland's DOJ wouldn't just be politically targeting people and using these rules as excuses to steal the metadata from people and attach a secrecy order to it so they don't even know they're under investigation. That wouldn't happen, right? Right. And then this comes. AG Merrick Garland 6 FBI on anti-CRT parents. So now if you go into a school board meeting and you kind of rough up the school board there and you tell them, I disagree with this and I hate you guys and you're all pieces of garbage and I can't wait to replace you, which is your free speech right to do that. Now the FBI is getting sicked on you, and what are they using to do this? The Patriot Act. The same law that is allowed for all of this secrecy orders, all of this data collection, it's the same thing. This all started decades ago, and it's now being put into use. And this is a 1,000% political situation. The teachers union suggested that he do this to him in an open letter, and he agreed, and he did. And now they're getting pushback from the likes of Josh Hawley and all those guys that are in the Senate to make people who are conservative feel better because they're like, this is bad. But nothing is going to get done. This is going to continue forward as it is. And remember, I have covered these school board meetings in detail because I said a couple of years ago, right? I said that the beginning of the pushback would happen in the school board meetings when parents came home and heard their child saying that they were horrible because they're inherently racist because they're white and blah, 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 that they were going to show up at the school boards and that's where it would start. Well, evidently the FBI agrees because now the FBI is going to target parents who go to the school board speaking out against CRT. This is disgusting. And this is what they're doing out in the open. So you can imagine what they're doing behind the scenes now that they've already let you know, we're going through your images on Apple. We're requesting warrants on anybody who searches certain terms on Google. We're attaching secrecy orders to anything we request in metadata because it's not, we don't consider it real data that you care about. It's evil, you guys. It's all evil, and it's all surveillance, and it's all a noose tightening. And this right here proves that they have no problem making it political. Jan 6 should have already proved they have no problem making it political. And acquiescence is tantamount to acceptance. If there's no pushback on this, it's just the noose is just going to get tighter, folks. The other day when I was talking about the swimmer in my episode, I had to put at the end of the video, like, we don't need to be so negative. We got to get positive here and start seeing that there's light shining through on all this. And we really do need to keep that mentality. But at the same time, we have to be eyes open and start seeing what's happening around us. And we have to be able to call it out. The crazy thing about this is that in all of the CRT debates I saw at the school boards, it was the damn teachers. It was the school board who got violent, who was screaming at people, who was demeaning people, who was threatening people. It's the school board.
You know what? I'm going to stop you there. We're not going to tolerate misrepresentation of facts around equity. So that's irrelevant, and you can stop.
In your opinion?
No, you can stop, Mr. Daly. You're done. I said you're done. I said you're done. Mr. Daly, sit down. Then your comments are irrelevant then if you're not going to call it by the right term.
This is
the equity policy. It's the equity policy.
I'll use your term, although I disagree with it. Fair enough?
Equity policy. Go ahead. You're done. You're done. You're done. We're not going to take it, that is irrelevant.
That's important because it breaks.
You're done, Mr.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
done.
you are, Mr.
No,
Marshall. You're done. You are done.
I will sue you as well.
You're done.
No, I'm not.
You're done.
What? Based on what?
Board policy 903. You are now being disruptive and disorderly. You're done.
You're the one.
You're done.
You know what?
You're finished. All right. You're done. You're done. We're not going through this again, Mr. Abrams. That is not what the equity program is about. We're not going to sit here and listen to you. You're done. You're done. You're done. You've already violated the board policy. According to the policy, your public comment has been terminated.
Is the FBI going to investigate the school board members? Of course not. Because this is 100% political. The FBI and the DOJ are political lackeys for the bureaucratic state, and the bureaucratic state is tightening the noose on anybody who has a contrary position on anything. And they are 1,000% going to use all the things that I just went over in this video to do what I'm talking about. It's time for people to wake up. I love you guys. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be uploading to Rumble more. I'm going to try to do every video that I upload to YouTube is going to Rumble. I've had some feedback that people like that site and it's easier for them, so I'm going to do that. Trying to operate within the confines of YouTube has gotten just insane. My video that I made on the Facebook whistleblower was immediately copyright claimed. So it's interesting because, you know, as I've been telling you guys how we are slowly devolving into fascism where the government and the corporate state are working together hand in hand, as in the government has corporations doing things that they can't do. You're seeing that here, like even among corporations. So it's like if Facebook, so it's like if YouTube can't justify banning my video, well, no problem. They can kick the can over to CBS News, and CBS News can make a copyright claim on my video, even though it was a 12-minute CBS interview that I turned into a 45-minute commentary. It's a copyright violation. That doesn't apply to fair use. And of course, YouTube is going to back CBS 1,000% because it's what they want to do to begin with. Anyways, guys, love you. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Catch y'all next time. Peace.